Now, an NHS doctor who identifies as a woman says trans women should be allowed to change in front of female colleagues. This is Dr Beth Upton, born male, told an employment tribunal that sex has no clear definition in science. That's going to come as a shock to a lot of people. The case follows allegations by nurse Sandie Peggie, who claims she faced harassment sharing female changing rooms with Dr Upton. This happened in Fife in Scotland. Let's speak with Stephanie Davis-Array, Director of Transgender Trend and Advisor at GenSpect. Let's start with this then, Stephanie. Very straightforward question. Sex has no clear definition in science. Did you know that?
No, well, clearly it does have a very objective definition based on biology, based on being male or female. We all know that. And a doctor should surely know it. A doctor who's employed by the NHS should have a basic understanding of the male and female sexes. There are only two, and it takes a male and a female to make a baby. And this doctor seems to be confused about all those issues.
I mean, this is a doctor, which makes it perhaps more either disturbing or fascinating. I'm not sure which, but for a doctor to say, you know, there's really nothing to see here and I am a biological female, when quite clearly, evidently, demonstrably, this person is, and I say this respectfully, is not a biological female, right?
Well, no, this person is born male and so is therefore going to be male for the rest of his life. You can't change your sex. If he was biologically female, he would be in his own terms, a cis woman. You know, there's no reason to transition. So clearly he does know that he's biologically male. He may maintain a strong belief that he isn't, but he clearly does know. And the issue here is, are women entitled to say that they know as well? So yes. Particularly, you know, in the workplace, does a woman have the right to notice that he's actually male? And does she have the right to feel uncomfortable and to complain if he is in a situation like a changing room where she is getting changed and has to get changed in front of him? Because the only reason that Dr Upton seems to think could be possible for pointing out that he is a man is transphobia, bigotry or misunderstanding of trans people. But clearly our brains are wired to instantly, it's really real primitive brain stuff, this, instantly recognise whether somebody is male or female. It's one of the most significant factors of characteristics about somebody we need to notice, and particularly women do, for reasons of safety.
And in a case like this, and I'm kind of, you know, obviously I don't have the same skin in the game as a bloke, but I do defend women's rights, women's spaces, women's entitlement to privacy and safety and all of that. It's a given. I also don't think, and I'm sure you'd probably back me up on this, Stephanie, I don't think it's up to women to come up with a solution to this. I mean, it might be, you know, great if we had one, but I don't think it's the role of a woman to find whatever arrangement it should be for men who are identifying as women. But I simultaneously, the question that always comes up that I can never quite answer is there a difference between, you know, a bloke with a beard and a penis that walks into a female swimming changing room and gets changed, pants off and all the rest of it? Clearly it's a bloke saying, you know, I'm a woman. And somebody who might have had surgical procedures, they might have had top surgery so that they have breasts, they're standing there in a pair of knickers and a bra, they look like a woman, their hair is like a woman, they sound like a woman. Is there a distinction between those two examples?
I don't think so, no. I mean, if a man gets implants and has his penis cut off, that doesn't make him a woman. We have to.
Does it change the threat, though, if that is the right way to look at it?
I don't think it does, because there are many signifiers that somebody is male. In behaviour, in the way that you walk, things like Adam's apple, bone structure. There are all, you know, usually height. There are all sorts of signifiers that somebody is male, and therefore a woman will feel threatened and feel intimidated and feel uncomfortable if she perceives that this person is male. We don't have to look at somebody's genitals to know that. So
you'd feel equally as uncomfortable with a man with a beard and a penis, and as you would with somebody somebody with, you know, to be typical about it, long blonde hair like this doctor, breasts, possibly even a vagina, or a surgically constructed vagina, the feeling would be the same.
The feeling for women would be it's a, you know, psychological safety and privacy in changing, and women generally, I think men are the same, but for women it's more important that we don't want to get changed in front of the opposite sex. For reasons of embarrassment, but also for reasons of safety. Crimes such as voyeurism and indecent exposure happen to women; they don't happen to men.
Yeah.
I think most men understand that, and most men would feel uncomfortable getting changed in front of a woman. But actually, because he understands how uncomfortable that will make her feel, it's not such a big deal for men, but it certainly is for women. It's not an easy thing.
100%. What I mean, it's, again, I said at the beginning, it's not for you or anybody else to find the solution to this. It isn't, to put it quite bluntly, it's not your argument to have in that respect. You shouldn't have to defend why you want privacy and safety. That should be a given. But while we're talking about it, is there an answer to this? Because it comes up, I wouldn't say a lot, it just comes up from time to time, right?
I think there needs to be third spaces for anybody who's not comfortable in getting changed or using the toilet in front of the opposite sex. There need to be third spaces, and I think the trans community need to be campaigning for those third spaces so that everybody feels comfortable. It's not fair that one group gain rights at the expense of another group. And in this case, the other group is a very large group of 50% of the population are women. But yeah, in this case, it's up to the NHS to come up with solutions to this problem. Yeah. What they've done is left it and hoped that women wouldn't notice or would feel too afraid to speak up, too embarrassed to speak up. And if we're looking at the way that this nurse has been treated in this tribunal, you can understand why women are afraid to speak up. And also from what Dr Upton has said, the only possible reason for speaking out is because you're a transphobic bigot. So you're going to be judged, and you're afraid of rocking the boat. And so women, typically will put up with it. And maybe they'll get changed in a toilet cubicle, or they'll wait until they're sure that their male colleague isn't in the changing room. But women should not have to do that in order to accommodate the feelings of a man.
I 100% agree with you, and I find it curious that we're even in this place, and you look at the fact that we're talking about a nurse in a tribunal, and it's got every kind of the hallmarks of every dystopian sort of horrible upside down world where the new thinking, the way you've got to think in a certain way, conclude, opine in a certain way, certain phrases and words are illegal, basic behaviour, instinctive or otherwise, has got to be eradicated. I mean, it's quite dark, isn't it, when you look at it?
Yes, and I think we need to say that Sandie Peggie is an incredibly brave woman for doing this. Look at the way she's been treated. Look at the way that she's been judged and labelled, and how long this is taking. It's incredibly brave of any woman to speak out. She's a senior nurse with 30 years experience with the NHS. They've treated her appallingly, but she's had the guts to stand up and speak up, and she's not doing it just for herself. She's doing it for every other woman in employment who is having to put up with this. And so, she's quite a heroine for doing it, but you can see why women don't.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody had told her 30 years ago when she was a trainee nurse that the row she'd be having in 3 decades' time would be about sharing a changing room with a bloke, she'd have thought the world had gone mad, and mad it's gone.
She shouldn't have to be this brave.
Yeah.
It should be a work. The NHS have a choice here, as every employer does. You either base your rules on this nebulous concept of gender identity, or you base your rules on sex, which is clear, objective distinction between men and women.
100%.
If you base it on gender identity, well, whenever you use the word woman, nobody knows whether you mean woman or you mean man.
Yeah.
And that's just not tenable.
Listen, Stephanie, there might be a knight in shining armour to all of this story, and that is the new Health Minister, Ashley Dalton, who's just been appointed after the last fella got a little bit fruity on the WhatsApp groups. Ashley Doughton has got some interesting views on gender. I'm sure you're familiar with all of this. She'd previously argued against gendered toilets, suggested people with male anatomy could be women if they want to be. It's this bonkers stuff. And even said you can identify as a llama if you want to. She's now a government minister.
In health. So that's very worrying. And it's the same. It's exactly the same as what's happening in this tribunal. That is the belief. People are entitled to their beliefs, but it's not based on reality.
Yeah.
And rules and policies need to be based on reality, and particularly within the NHS. It's really public trust in the NHS. If you can't even define what male and female mean, it is plummeting.
We're in a worrying place. Stephanie, we will speak, sadly we'll speak again, because these issues do come up from time to time. Stephanie Davis-Arai, Director of Transgender Trend with